In this video, I want to share a few habits that secretly drain your energy. You probably don't even notice them, but they are the ones quietly keeping your nervous system stuck in survival mode. Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Veronika, and this space is all about helping you reconnect with yourself, feel more grounded, and live a little softer. If you want to support my work, make sure to check out my Notion templates on my website. I have a lot of Notion products available, from weekly planners to goal trackers. Also, make sure to sign up for my free weekly newsletter, Veronika's Weekly Vibes. All the links to absolutely everything are going to be down in the description. Okay, so let's begin with the first subconscious habit that is probably keeping you stuck in survival mode, and that is carrying physical tension without realizing. This is something that happens to me so often, like hunched shoulders, clenched jaw, grinding my teeth constantly because I'm feeling stressed. Honestly, when I work, mostly my body position is always very tight, like as if I'm afraid to take up too much space in my own room. And the first time when I actually noticed that I was grinding my teeth and clenching my jaw too much was when I got aligners, because I decided to get my teeth straightened. And so every single morning when I would take off my aligners, I would see that my teeth would grind them so much that sometimes there would be small little holes in them. And so in my example, I know that all of this, like my guarding posture, was really connected to how stressed I was and how I wasn't really letting my body experience all of these feelings and let them go. It's like I was constantly holding a plank, and obviously when you're holding a plank, like your body becomes very tight. It's, you know how you only actually realize this when someone tells you relax your shoulders. And when I started practicing yoga really consistently, and my teacher was guiding me and telling me like, relax your jaw, relax your shoulders, only then did I realize how much physical tension I was constantly carrying in my body. And that is why I encourage you, while watching this video, just do a quick check. Are your shoulders hunched over? Is your jaw clenched? Try to do a little body scan, noticing all of those little things and letting the tension go. Yoga is something that has helped me with my body awareness so much in general, because if I don't move my body regularly, I stop paying attention to how my body actually feels. I just rush through the day, and then the next morning, this cycle continues. Physical activity is an extremely efficient strategy for completing the stress response cycle. It helps our nervous system to get back into this calm state. And that is exactly why people say exercise is good for you. Moving on to the next subconscious habit, habitual shallow breathing. When I discovered that my body is in those stressful postures, like hunched over my computer or my phone, shallow breathing becomes my default. When I started working on developing this full range breathing by doing breath work, pranayama, one thing that I realized was that I could breathe so much more deeply just by working on my 3-part breath, like my belly, my ribs, my chest. I was able to start learning to use my full lung capacity instead of just constantly taking shallow sips of air. Also, box breathing is basically when you breathe in for 4, you hold for 4, you exhale for 4, and then you hold for 4, so forming a box. And finally, there is this technique when you're trying to make your exhale longer than your inhale, and usually the ratio is like 2-to-1. So let's say I inhale for 4 and I exhale for 8. So the next subconscious habit that is probably keeping you stuck in survival mode is overtraining, or only doing high intensity workouts. I remember in 2021, that was a huge year for me when I was constantly pushing my body to do more. I honestly thought that I was helping my stress by working out extremely hard every single day. I was going to boxing workouts and HIIT workouts, and also sometimes CrossFit. I obviously don't have anything against boxing or HIIT or CrossFit. I think moving your body the way it works for you is amazing, but recovery and calming movement, like maybe walking or stretching, is extremely important. Right now, I know that if you only do high intensity training every single day, that is going to elevate your cortisol levels. And because I didn't give myself enough breaks, because I was constantly overtraining myself, my body was was in this stressed state, in survival mode. I thought I was trying to discipline myself. I was constantly pushing myself to do more and more and more instead of actually listening to my body and allowing myself to, yes, go to my boxing workout, but instead of doing it every single day, maybe doing it once a week, for example. Okay, so the next subconscious habit that is keeping you stuck in survival mode is never letting yourself be bored. This is such a big issue nowadays because we have the internet, our phones, and social media, and so even if we start feeling a little bit bored, there's always something that can entertain us. Our phone is always right here, somewhere close to us, and so we fill every single gap with stimulation, and that prevents us from resting, from being bored. And I know that a lot of you right now are probably thinking that I don't like feeling bored. But what if I tell you that the feeling of boredom is extremely important to your nervous system? Boredom is actually this transition state into the parasympathetic mode. But most people never actually let themselves get into this calm mode because we never let ourselves be bored. When I'm not doing anything, when I start feeling bored, I immediately start feeling guilty. I start feeling guilty that I'm not productive, that I'm not doing anything. Like when I go on vacation and I tell myself, okay, Veronika, you're going on vacation, you're not gonna work, this is your conscious decision. So I arrive, I'm at the beach, and you know what I'm thinking about? I'm thinking about, I don't know, I have this feeling of guilt that I'm not doing anything, that I'm not constantly recording something, making content. I don't like this feeling of boredom because I'm not used to it. Neuroscientists have long discovered something called the default mode network. It's basically your brain's background mode that switches on when you're not doing anything, when you're feeling bored, like daydreaming, shower thoughts, zoning out on a walk, or lying in bed before going to sleep. The reason why it's called the default, your default mode network, is because your brain automatically goes into the state when you're not occupied with anything, when you're not doing anything, when you're feeling bored. And the thing is, this state is so important for us. It's extremely important for your creativity. That is exactly why your best ideas just randomly pop up in the shower or maybe while you're driving while not listening to anything. Your brain is free to wander and make unusual connections and come up with something new and interesting. It's also really important for your memory, for processing all of your emotions. But here's the problem: if you never let yourself get bored, your brain never gets into this mode. If you're constantly stimulating yourself with your phone, with scrolling, it interrupts this process. The default mode network doesn't have a chance to switch on because you're constantly doing something. Alright, let's move on to the next subconscious habit, which is keeping endless mental tabs open. It's, when you always try to remember things like, I need to email that person, I need to pay that bill, I need to call my mom, instead of writing those things down. And that really drains your energy because you're constantly thinking about those unfinished things while you're doing something else. And the reason is the Zeigarnik effect. The Zeigarnik effect is basically our brain's tendency to hold on to unfinished tasks, to try to remember them, like to remind you that you have to do them as many times as possible. If you're constantly thinking about something that you have to do, your brain has to keep it alive in the background all the time because you don't want to forget it. And that is why you suddenly remember all of those unfinished tasks when you're about to fall asleep. It's not because you're a forgetful person, it's because your brain is trying to close the loop. And so when it comes to keeping a lot of tabs open mentally, you can just write them down, because I understand sometimes we can't finish all of the tasks like in one day, all in one go. Sometimes even trying all of this is going to add more stress. So just writing all of this down will help your brain not burn all of this extra energy. It's like leaving 20 different apps open on your phone. Obviously, you're not using all of them, but they're still draining your battery in the background. Okay, subconscious habit number 6 that might be keeping you stuck in survival mode is multitasking. Right now, what I'm noticing is that we all have this constant need to multitask. And when I say multitasking, I don't really mean doing a bunch of different things when you're working. The real way way that we multitask all day is by using our phones. When we're eating, when we're brushing our teeth, when we're cleaning up, absolutely every single activity that we do around the house, we have to be using our phones while doing that. The real multitasking tool for us right now is our phone. I wanted to be constantly checking the internet, social media, to be always up to date with everything. And also because I wanted to be constantly productive. You know, habit stacking is amazing, like cleaning up the house while listening to a podcast, and I still do it pretty often. However, I don't do it all the time because sometimes our brains just need to relax. We just need to focus on this one thing we're doing right now. In these moments when I find myself multitasking all day, like waking up and immediately grabbing my phone and then brushing my teeth while looking at something on my phone, and then having breakfast, making breakfast while listening to a podcast, having breakfast while checking social media, I do experience information overload. And by the time I start working, my brain kind of already feels fried. There's so much happening all the time, and my brain is desperately trying to keep up. In those moments after having the phone-based morning, I do feel like my cortisol and my adrenaline are so high, and I just start feeling very jittery. Okay, now let's talk about habit number 7, which is having your phone visible at all times. The consequence of leading this phone-based life is that we always feel this need to be holding our phones in our hands, to be touching our phones, and that is why we buy a lot of pretty cases to make our phones look as aesthetic as possible, different phone straps that I see all the time on social media, because we want to keep our phones as close to us as possible, like literally glued to us. Even if we have our phone close to us, our brain is constantly monitoring it because we're used to, receiving notifications and checking things on our phones. And so right now I'm talking to you, I'm recording this YouTube video, but I can still see my phone. And so I feel like I can't pay 100% of my attention to recording this YouTube video. That is why usually when I work, I don't keep my phone in my room. I don't want to look at it. I don't want it to be next to me when I'm trying to do deep focused work. Even silent notifications or your phone being close to you can raise your alertness. Your brain keeps anticipating that ping, and so those micro alerts keep adding up. I also realized recently that I rely on my phone so much for navigation, even when I know where I need to go and how to get there. It just makes me feel like I don't really trust myself, and the only thing that is going to help me trust myself is my phone. Like, why do I do that? Okay, and finally, habit number 8 is going to be a very interesting one, so please hear me out. Consuming too much self-help content. I obviously don't have anything against self-help content because that is what I make on YouTube, but there was a very long period of my life when I was constantly trying to fix myself. I was reading a lot of self-help books because I was always trying to find the next problem to solve when it came to myself. And that was reinforcing that idea that I was not safe. I was not okay as I was. My nervous system was staying hypervigilant. Here, I really don't want you to get me wrong, because working on yourself and your self-improvement journey is obviously important. Like for me, for example, one thing that I really had to work on was my personal boundaries. I was a chronic people pleaser. And so noticing that thing about myself was obviously important, as well as reading books on this topic, going to therapy, like working on my people-pleasing habits. However, self-improvement doesn't mean that you're constantly trying to fix yourself. When it comes to self-improvement, I really like to approach it from this self-love perspective. I don't want to work on my people-pleasing habits because I'm not enough, because it's another problem about myself that I have to fix, because I constantly have to fix things about myself. Just saying all of this makes me me feel really sad. This is not how I want to approach self-help and self-improvement. Alright, I think it's going to be it for today's video. If you liked it, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to check out my Notion templates and also sign up for my free weekly newsletter. All the links are going to be down in the description. If you want to continue exploring the topic we discussed in today's video deeper and see how I reset and regulate my nervous system, I highly recommend watching this video right here. Here I talk about all the things you can do for yourself without spending a bunch of money. So click right here and I'll see you there.